Hello, hope you're good. Today I am putting to the test 5 famous chefs' scrambled egg recipes who are convinced they've got absolutely the right approach. Or should that be poached? No, we are scrambling. So recently I tried out a hack by Alton Brown where he put mayonnaise in with his scrambled eggs and the results were incredible. And I teased the idea of actually doing a dedicated scrambled egg off in that video and you guys seem to like that idea. So basically, yeah, here we are. We've got a test of like 5 different sort of scrambled egg recipes, a mixture of sanity, a mixture of science. In the words of my friend Bella does editing.
Hey Barry, let's get cracking.
Right, just a little disclaimer, I am going to try and limit my egg puns through this video, I promise you, okay? Our first one is by a French chef called Jacques Pépin. Right, really need to check that.
Jacques Pépin.
I want to show you how to make scrambled eggs.
Okay, so he likes to whisk the eggs with salt before cooking just to make sure they're nice and fully uniform. His focus is a consistent whisk in a pan over at a gentle heat, almost cooking it fully, then taking it off the heat whilst it's still warm, adding in some leftover beaten egg mix to rapidly cool it down and also get a soft, glossy texture. Right, I don't know about you, that sounds like a blooming good start. Let's give it a go.
I'm gonna try and use the same bowl and apparatus and tools as much as possible. And it's worth noting that a lot of these chefs, they do actually do like different versions. Yeah, so I apologize, it might look a bit bland at the end because I'm not even gonna put it on toast or maybe put any herbs. I might do some pepper. There is a consistency though that they're all using butter and they all say to use some decent quality eggs. So hey ho, these are nice and vibrant, look at that. But I am just spooning about 2 tablespoons of the mix to one side for later. All right, so I've got 15 grams of butter here. So with his theory, you can actually see there he used a fork rather than a whisk, but he was basically going really aggressive to break up the egg white. Yeah, so he says about the butter getting nice and coated so it's evenly for the eggs to cling. But you can see this butter is still taking its time to melt because it's on a super low heat. He says to heat it gently, let the eggs work. There we go, that's what we're after. So I'm gonna give it one more courtesy whisk. Woo! Yeah, nice consistent movements like this. His belief is gonna really mix that flavor through and get a nice even profile. Right, we are nearly there. By every second it is changing. Off the heat, right. All right, down you go, mate. And then the other remaining raw egg goes in. So there's already the residual heat in the pan, just to kind of give it that extra glossiness. All right, pros and cons. Oh my gosh, that is sliding off the pan, lovely. Yeah, so it's not gonna look the best. All right, little season of salt, and maybe the pepper will actually give it some speckles to make it pop. I don't know, it looks a little bit more like a blancmange, but that is our first one done, and I'm gonna try it as we go. It's still wet, and it has got a lovely glossy appearance. Oh, wow. I really want to do another egg pun and say it's extravagant. It tastes really luxurious. Sorry, can you tell this is genuinely my breakfast? I want to finish all of that, but we've set an incredibly high bar there and we must proceed.
So from Pépin to the stereotypically boisterous chef, Marco Pierre White, when I was thinking, oh, Marco Pierre White is going to be aggressive and angry, well, let him explain this.
Most people like to take their eggs and whisk them with a fork and turn them into baby food. I don't.
So Marco's method is all about time. I think he mentions it about 6 times in that video alone.
And cook slowly.
But the theory is to puncture the egg yolks and disturb them as little as possible to keep the egg yolks and the egg whites separate. The egg whites themselves should initially start to pop as you cook through super slowly. And the key to that, again, is that super low heat. Listen to this.
Feel the side of the pan. My palm can take it just. That tells me it's the perfect temperature to create the perfect scrambled eggs.
But his argument is, look after it, take your time, and as you stir it, it should naturally become creamy anyway. A little bit of seasoning, a little bit of cream.
But I like my scrambled eggs the French way, not the English way.
And when he says British version there, I think he might mean like rubbery. But his description is as he pours it across this toast here, that the French actually use a word for like walk, like just for that thing how, I mean, to me, that does look a little wet. Certainly wetter than our last one.
The French use a word called baveuse. That's for omelettes and scrambled eggs. They must walk.
And that is Marco's version we're gonna try right now.
All right, a mega low heat, and I don't know if you picked up on that, but he was actually using a spatula, maybe because it's got a little bit more flexibility. It says if you can't touch the pan lightly with the palm of your hand, it's too hot. I'm actually gonna take it off the heat as I slide those egg yolks in. So then he just literally just punctures the egg yolk. So I've just like literally pierced it, and as I stir now, oh my gosh, look at it. It is ribbony already. I am getting some control on that. Yeah, just gentle. And I don't have to do it, apparently, continue either. You can have a little bit of a breather and just be like, relax, take your time. I'm actually enjoying this. I'm getting those little bits of egg white popping. I can see that. I'm slowly seeing those egg whites beginning to mingle with that final mix. It's taken a blooming long time. I've been still here 10 minutes now, but this completely changes my mindset with scrambled egg. As a kid, it was just like in the pan, mixy mix, pretty much eating what resembled like silicone that would be much better around the edge of a bath. But it's thickening up so slowly. I mean, I wouldn't call it a walk right now. If I pour that on a plate, it's probably gonna sprint. He adds in some salt, some white pepper, which I actually really like. Quite underused white pepper. And he was saying with this delicate approach how it becomes like naturally creamy, caring for the eggs. Well, he says that and then he pours cream into it, but only a bit. All right, it looks a little runny, but I think we're there. Here we are then, and I do think, look, we've got a little bit of a walk there. That is a different consistency, and I can see the white in it. I can see it. Okay, again, I must apologize. I know this isn't really, well, a chocolate cake, is it? But let's finish it with a bit more salt and a little more white pepper. I guess with all of like that tenderness and taking it time, there was a sort of like authority to that method. It was like, no, do this because it's the best way. I kind of like that. Although look, that is quite wet. With those odd specks of white though, it does look a bit more interesting. That is creamy. The salt and the pepper in there does an amazing job. From a texture perspective, it's still slightly too wet than what I'd really have liked. But that's the thing with the pan, by the second it was changing and you could just absolutely nail that. It's very good, but very different. Right, next one. So from Marco's slightly wet concoction to Gordon Ramsay's, I guess, a little bit more familiar for me kind of style of how it's doing it, especially the end result. Some of you guys weren't aware that Marco Pierre White did actually train Gordon Ramsay. That's a little clip I'm overlaying right now. But two things Gordon says in his video goes completely against what Pépin did in our first scrambled eggs.
Son, never ever seen an egg before we cook them, okay? The eggs turn grey and they turn watery, and we never whisk an egg before it goes in the pan either.
Yeah, a little bit of an egg style debate here, but basically Gordon's method, it's all about controlling it on and off of the heat, a little bit like I was accidentally doing with Marco's. You got the basics of the butter and the egg and some seasoning, and I guess the main thing that gets added is creme fraiche at the end just to cool it down to stop it cooking. That should stop the egg splitting, give it richness, and also end up resulting in quite a fluffy scrambled egg. And that scrambled egg does look a lot different to the other two so far.
All right, here we go then, butter going in. I just think from what I've learned so far, I am gonna do it on a slightly lower heat anyway to give me more control. Eggs go in, and I'm just gonna break them up because that's really what it looked like he did. Like there was no sort of method to it. He was teaching another bloke. So like much more aggressive than our last one. We've got it to like a beaten egg mixture, and I don't get that. Why can't we do that in a bowl? But Gordon's main thing is about controlling the temperature, not overcooking it. So like taking it off the heat from time to time, just stirring it like this to control and get that consistency right. I mean, I guess basically not rubbery, but all about slowing down that cooking process, like going like this. Hello. I do like this, but I think that I've naturally, out of any of these methods today, this is the closest to what I would normally do. Right, there we go, happy with that. And now the creme fraiche. Yeah, I gotta go fast here. It is the creme fraiche that's straight from the fridge that is gonna cool it down. And that blast of coolness should stop it cooking. And we still haven't seasoned it, so we're allowed to do that now. So salt, pepper, stir that through. All right, look at the texture difference. It's still got moisture in it, but that is much more rigid. And I think, with the greatest respect, I know scrambled eggs are such a personal thing. Yeah, visually much more rigid. You can really see those like black pepper specks like standing out. I think effort-wise, with that control on and off the heat, this was probably the easiest so far. Oh yes, it's really rich, and with it sort of being more firmer, I was expecting it to maybe feel like a bit heavier. And the seasoning really pops on it. I don't need it, and I don't know if that's because we did it right at the end. That is a solid, dependable scrambled egg. This doesn't work as an egg pun, but next one, please. All right, it's time to get a little bit more sciencey, and I think I might have found the king of scrambled eggs, because it's got different versions. This guy called Kenji López-Alt. I hope I've pronounced that right.
I'm gonna be making some scrambled eggs today.
This one involves a slurry. Oh, and also earlier when I said Marco Pierre White's was buttery, this is buttery. This one's interesting because it's kind of like the opposite to Gordon again. He seasons early and mixes everything before it hits the pan. And by everything I mean a slurry. A cornstarch slurry is made, but also cold butter goes in there too. Now apparently the slurry should help it be more tender, more creamier, and even retain the moisture, allowing you to potentially overcook the eggs because the result will still be slightly more moister. But it's not just the slurry that goes in there, it's cold cubed butter, which apparently as it melts is supposed to make the eggs nice and tender. That gets beaten in with the eggs, so no crazy whisk or fork, he's using chopsticks. He then says with a frying pan how have cold water in it that's warmed up so you know you've got a nice evenly hot pan. Extra butter goes in, the slurry mixture goes in with those cold lumps so they're not fully mixed through, and he's given this a good old cook together over high heat, and the result is actually probably the most rigid so far. It kind of looks a little bit like an omelette. It looks smooth, but I'm desperate to see what this slurry does. This is going to be really interesting.
All right, let's get this slurry going then. So yeah, cornstarch, or corn flour as we call it in the UK. Apparently this is like quite a popular method in like Asian cooking as well. You get a lot of those like crazy omelettes and things. This can really increase the possibility of getting this lovely sort of velvety, ribbony look. All right, so I've got my eggs here, 3 of them. I hope you don't mind, but he's using a spatula for the main step, so I'm like, I've got a whisk lying around, although chopsticks would be kind of fun. So, and here we go, the butter. So this is like half of it, the rest is gonna go in the pan as well. What I kind of liked about this guy, I'd not heard of him, but he kind of like, he was just like saying that this is what you can do, rather than like, this is the best way. I feel like I'm slowly building up today like my favorite perfect combo, and maybe I'll let you know at the end. I've got some water here then, so let's do this, just a little bit. Yes, the aim here is to reduce down the water, but really get that pan nice and hot, which right now, like Marco's slow, tender approach, this is just kind of like chuck it all in with butter and slurry and just go crazy. And I kind of like both. All right, most of that has evaporated down. In fact, yes, it's pretty much gone. So hopefully, this cold butter, oh wow, you can see the difference. That's melting really well. And if this slurry principle works, where it buys you a bit of time if you overcook the eggs and they're still gonna be moist, then this method could potentially revolutionize and almost end the possibility, or a little bit at least, of rubbery scrambled egg. None of this taking it off the heat, none of this low heat, tenderness, aggressive slurry egg making. And the odd ribbons starting to appear, there we go. Oh my gosh, they're actually like ribbons. But his wasn't like that. His looked like an omelette. So yeah, we are there. Look at this. Right, let's try it. Looks to me like the scrambled egg I certainly had growing up. Yeah, that isn't custardy, is it? I'm just gonna give it a little courtesy shimmy of salt. Yeah, it's proper fluffy, all right, but definitely there's some moisture there. The one thing I will say, there is butter starting to sort of weep all around the plate. It's almost like relaxing. So like visually, that trail right there, yeah, that's a bit off-putting. Wow, that tastes like an egg cloud. The fluffiest scrambled egg I have ever tasted in my life. I thought the Gordon Ramsay one was the closest to that, but this is so much more in terms of the method of cooking it. But this texture, I've had scrambled egg before and thought, oh yeah, that's fluffy. That literally tastes of egg fluff. Right, last one, and I hope we've got some patience. All right, so last up, and I gotta be honest, I'm glad this is the last one. I'm kind of egged out. We've got Heston Blumenthal with another sciencey approach. In fact, I once did his scrambled egg ice cream, and that was incredible. Oh my gosh.
My marmalade and
That is so weird.
It had like brioche soldiers. Oh. But you guys know how much I like Alton Brown, and there's a little bit of a geek off. Listen to Alton Brown making scrambled eggs.
Well whipped, I want air in them because that acts as some insulation, slows down the cooking a bit.
Yeah, so he's saying whisking the eggs will act as an insulation to slow down the cooking, give you a bit more time. Or as we found out, maybe you could just add in a slurry. Or as Heston says in his video where he just lightly mixes it with a fork, he doesn't want air.
So I'm not using a whisk to beat this, because I don't actually want to incorporate loads of air.
So I kind of like approaches to Heston's method. It looks creamy, you've got the eggs in there, seasoning, you've got butter, milk, cream. Like it all goes into one big old bowl. We'll find out about the whisking thing anyway, but it goes on a Bain-Marie. And Heston's not alone, that is an extremely popular method for making scrambled eggs, particularly in French cooking. So let's try this method.
All right, so for the Bain-Marie, I've just got a pan of water going to get warm. So the cream, and the milk. Oh, wow, look at that. I love that. Is it gonna wrap around the yolk fully? Come on, mate, you're getting there. You're gonna join. Come on. Butter goes in and a good shimmy of salt. Now, this is the first time I've used a fork today. Remember, he says he doesn't want too much air in there. He's just like, I don't know, is he piercing the yolks like Marco? Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I've just got to keep, I mean, the butter has not even melted yet. We've just got to keep going. He did say if it gets a little too hot, again, with a bit of control, you can adjust that and keep it. But other than that, 20 minutes like this. And again, kind of like the opposite of the last one we did with a little franticness, which I'm kind of missing right now. Back to that slow, gentle heat approach with the stir spatula again. But it's supposed to result in a super gorgeous texture. So if anything exciting happens, sorry, I'm tired. That was a pun. I'll let you know. If not, eggs. Yay. I don't don't think we're too far off now. So he seasons it with salt and some pepper. Now, I'm gonna use white pepper because I've got loads of it. I personally like it too, and it's only Marco that's mentioned using it in other recipes. Yeah, that is really coming together now and changing the texture. We're nearly there. All right, I think we are there. So where we've just kept stirring it, we've got these little pockets of cooked egg alongside this like really nice creamy looking texture. Let's plate it up. All right, Heston, sorry to try yours last, but I have generally had enough eggs for one day. Let's go. Oh my word, look, I don't know if you can see, it's got this perfect texture. Although, again, like our last one, it looks like it kind of wants to weep a little bit. Well, there we are, Bain-Marie style scrambled eggs. It's kind of got this like texture of being like a mixture of soft and firm. I think it's probably the most rigid today. Ooh, hello. Oh no. I was thinking we put all the milk in and the cream compared to some of the others. It's probably the most intense in that way. Maybe it's gonna feel too heavy, but it actually feels like perfectly balanced. It's creamy, but it's not like a dairy protest. Oh, I'm trying to work out if I'd make that again, because if it wasn't for the time, it might be my favorite today. I need to show you something actually, which is a little bit weird. Yeah, and I just hope I've got enough room for it. I'll just shove that on the end there, okay? So this is the chef's, Marco's, Gordon's, our slurry one, and then also Heston's right on the end. And I know it's been in the fridge, and my fridge smells amazing, but the difference in the colours, a lot of that is down to the cooking time. I mean, look at our slurry one, that was in there for hardly any time at all, and it's a lot paler. So I think if I had to pick a winner, and again, all of them can be customised in their own way. I think Marco's was a little bit too walky, a little bit too wet. Like Gordon Ramsay's one was firmer and familiar. I liked that, there was familiarity there. Kenji's one with the slurry, that was really clever, and I want to play around with that a little bit more. Heston's, like we've just seen, the final texture of it, the consistency with those sort of nice cooked lumps. Cooked lumps, yum. But for me, I think Pépin's, I mean, it was so long ago now, they just hit the sweet spot. It was soft, sort of elegant, but still, I guess the focus was sort of on the eggs, and I feel like that's really what scrambled eggs should be about. Well, then of course you could just shove some bacon in it, which I really wish I did for most of this. But there we are. If I've missed any other quirky methods, do let me know down below. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time. Ciao for now. Ciao, 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 ciao.